All right. And we're back.
All right. So Lorelai pulls up to a gorgeous castle-looking house that is revealed to be her parents' house that she grew up
So
in.
beautiful. I love that house so much.
So beautiful. Lorelai knocks on the door, and Emily, her mother, answers the door and asks if it's Christmas or Easter already. They go in, and Lorelai and Emily awkwardly sit and talk about Lorelai's business class. Both Emily and Richard have lines questioning whether it's Christmas or Easter, insinuating that's the only time she's ever there. So this one's funny, but it is another way of them to be like,
Yeah, oh yeah. They don't have a relationship.
That's the only time she sees them.
I also just want to say, they did Kelly Bishop so dirty in this pilot. She looks so old, and she doesn't look like that. She is even now, almost 20 years later, she's gorgeous. And in this pilot, she doesn't look old next episode. I don't know why they did that to her.
Yeah, I think they were trying to make her look older.
Beautiful. Yeah.
Yeah.
That makes sense, I guess, but
I suppose. Lorelai asks Richard if he would like to sit down, to which he quickly replies, "You need money." He absolutely crushes this snooty businessman thing. Like,
yes.
100%. I love it. I'm obsessed with how he's always drinking and never puts down the paper.
Yes.
So good. I feel like Emily gets meaner in later episodes. I feel like she's pretty chill in this one.
Yeah, I think this sets her up as she isn't a nice person, but she is desperate to have a relationship with her daughter.
Yeah, totally. Which is fair.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I feel like, so I usually, and we've talked about this, not publicly to the world, but that's why we're here. But I usually am always team Lorelai, 100% of the way.
I'm not. She makes bad decisions.
Occasionally, yes. But most of the time I'm that is the decision that I would make.
But I think that's why I relate to her so much, because I make bad decisions.
Fair enough. But in this episode, I'm kind of Richard, you got a little bit of sense.
If we're going off of the assumption that actually it lines up, because you remember how, this is a future episode, Richard gives her that check from an investment property that she has, and the check is for $150,000, and she pays her parents back with that check.
I do.
So if they're loaning her $50,000 a year, if we're going off the assumption the tuition's $50,000 a year, then that's an insane amount of money. Somebody's loaning me $150,000 that no interest, no due back by date. I'm doing whatever you want. Of course, I'll be here every Friday.
Yeah, totally. So Lorelai asks for help with an enrollment fee and first month tuition, and Richard says he'll get the checkbook. Emily chimes in and says on one condition. And then we set up basically the main premise of the show. If they help them pay for school, then they get a weekly dinner and a once-a-week call, which we never talk about again. They never do the call.
We never see a phone call.
I think if the condition is, if you want our money, you need to spend time with us more than just ask for money, fair,
I think so. Yeah, you can't just show up after ignoring us for 15 years and be like, hey, I'd like some money now.
I'd like to have $100,000. That's actually bonkers. And Lorelai agrees to go to dinner there tomorrow at 7. So I just feel like I should say that this is something that I think the entire show, every single Lorelai flashback, I don't think it looks like her.
Yeah, I'm with you.
I feel like even the actresses, I feel like they do a good job, but I'm it just doesn't look like her to me. I don't know why.
I completely agree with you. I think that, I think the actress they get to play in a later season, they get to play, Lorelai right around the time she gets pregnant.
Yeah.
I think personality-wise, like performance-wise, she does a great job. I believe that's Lorelai. Looks-wise, not at all.
Not even a little bit. Yeah, no, I'm right there with you. So then we switch to a scene of Rory and Lane talking in the Stars Hollow school hallway. One of the few, maybe only times we see Stars Hollow, I think. Except for
Stars Hollow High.
Stars Hollow High, yeah. That's what I meant, sorry.
I knew what you meant.
Except for when they come back when Luke to the school. I think that's the only other time.
Yeah, you're probably right.
Rory accidentally drops some things as Lane takes off, and she bends down to pick them up. Dean shows up beside her. She's annoyed because he startles her, and she says he's like Ruth Gordon and should have made a noise, to which he responds, Rosemary's Baby. We love when a boy gets our movie references.
Amen. Amen. That's that. Well, okay, so before, when I was going to be in charge of all the pop culture references, before we realized that was crazy, because there's so many. I actually watched Rosemary's. I've read the book, but I actually watched Rosemary's Baby for the first time because I wanted to be able to say if it was good or not. And yeah, it was decent. You know, it's an old horror movie. It's a little cheesy, but it's good.
I feel like ever since we had talked about, I feel like I want to watch it because I'm like, it's October. It's a horror movie.
Yeah.
Worth a watch. Yeah,
I've been consuming all of the spooky media lately. Spooky podcasts, horror movies. But I have to do it sneakily because my husband hates all things horror, so I have to watch horror movies by myself. I have to listen to my podcast with headphones in.
Oh man, wish I was there. We're watching them together. We've been actually going through the Chucky movies. So
not a fan of the Chucky movies.
You don't like them?
I don't like them.
They're just
I don't know.
Cheesy.
I'm just not. I'm not a slasher movie fan. See, I put like Saw in more like prestige horror. Like I know it's gory, but it's just I don't know. I feel like slasher movies are so cheesy.
Oh yeah.
So it's not the gore that bothers me. I don't know. I can't get into a slasher. And that's kind of how I see Chucky.
Have you seen Scream?
Yeah, I like Scream.
Yeah,
at
Scream's
least the
great.
first one. I don't know. The sequels are.
Yeah,
I like the first one. Yeah,
the first one. I mean, it's like iconic. Like it's just a classic.
It's so good,
so good, so good. Ooh, we're related. Let me just say that Rory's outfit here is so cute. That's just
very cute. Something I would wear now.
Yeah, 100%. Love it. Yeah, I love doing like a character inspired outfit. That's something I would so wear. So he asked,
I also want to point out that I am rewatching Supernatural with my husband right now, and I can't look at Dean without seeing Sam Winchester.
That's so
from
amazing.
Supernatural.
My best friend Lauren, one of her favorite shows is Supernatural, and she's like never seen Gilmore Girls. And every time I walk into her house, I see she has a poster of Supernatural, and I'm always like, you're such a big Gilmore Girls fan. That's so crazy.
That's so funny.
He asks if she's moving, and she says, no, just my books are, which is very funny. He says he just moved from Chicago, and she says, Chicago, Wendy, Oprah. And not to bring we've done that. Never mind. I'm bringing other quotes in. All I could think was, okay, weirdo.
Weirdo.
She's very clearly smitten.
I love it when she's... I never talk this much.
Would you like, I never talk this much.
That is the whole show. What do you mean you never talk this much?
The whole point of the show is that she talks a lot and very fast. This is where we learn that Rory is short for Lorelai, and that Lorelai named her baby after herself, which is one of my favorite facts of the show. Rory, while explaining that to Dean, says, I never talked as much as what we just talked about.
Sorry, I skipped ahead.
No, you're good. You're good, which is obviously inaccurate.
Yeah.
Dean says he's going to look for a job, and Rory suggests that he talk to Miss Patty because she knows everything that happens in the town. Dean asks if she can show him around, and she agrees. I love, though, when she's a dance teacher. He's like, I don't dance much.
Yes, I don't dance much. I need to correct myself here because I just got to the point in my notes where I wrote this down. Jared Padalecki and my cousin-in-law attended Madison High School in San Antonio. I don't want anyone to get mad at me because I don't know where Jared Padalecki went to high school.
We're going to get nasty letters.
Name that show.
I think that we're the only two people on the planet Earth that immediately know what that is.
You are probably correct.
The Water Buffalo song from Veggie
Silly
Tales.
Songs with Larry.
Silly Songs with Larry segment of the hit show Veggie Tales, obviously. So anyway, back to the show. Rory and Dean are now casually walking around the streets of Stars Hollow, and Rory is doing her best to make conversation by asking Dean if he likes. Can I just say that I love if he likes hey. Listen, I've been slinging t-shirts all day, all right?
For corn.
For corn. For those of you who don't know, I live in Hollywood. And
Wait, but I have a question. Did you ask them if they enjoyed their time living in Lorelai Gilmore's house?
Wait, that's actually so crazy. I just put two and two together.
Lorelai the First.
It was a musical group. Yes, so for those of you who have not seen the show, first of all,
please stop listening and
to this.
Watch the show.
Second of all, Lorelai, and the first Lorelai is in Lorelai Gilmore's grandmother, Lorelai Gilmore rented a house out to Corn.
And today, Alyssa sold t-shirts for them.
Yeah.
Full circle.
I mean, full circle moment, honestly. Dean then asks Rory how she likes Moby Dick, and we discover that he's been watching her. Like, I understand what he's trying to say. But
he said it in the worst way.
Yeah, he could have said it in like a way less creepy way. Yeah, like, I've been watching you. I'm watching you, Wazowski. Always watching. Name that movie.
Monsters, Inc., obviously.
We then get to a scene back at the diner with Lorelai and Rory eating salad.
Weird. I find that especially weird, considering once Lorelai said we ate vegetables yesterday, there was lettuce on our burgers, and Rory said you picked it off, and Lorelai said it left its essence.
It left its essence. Yeah.
They had lettuce essence yesterday. That counted as a full serving of vegetables.
Yeah, the whole diner scene feels like off. Like something's not right about the diner in this.
Well, it's just not the same place. It's a different vibe.
Yeah, that's true. Lorelai brings up that Rory was late getting home, and she says she went to the library. Liar, liar, plans for hire.
Name that show.
Drake and Josh.
No.
Obviously. Oh, no way. What is it?
SpongeBob.
I knew that. I'm sorry. I was thinking of...
Hands on fire, Patrick. You would know, liar.
I was thinking of, I ain't calling you a truther. That's Drake and Josh.
Yes.
Anyway.
Lorelai tells us to start a new podcast called Name That Show.
Name That Show. I like that it's a bit now. I actually love creating a new bit.
Watching it happen in real time. New bit alert. Yeah. New bit. Who this?
You are here for the new bit. Whoever's listening to this right now, you know there's a new bit. It just hit the street. You can take it. Run with it.
You can have it. We'll give it to you for free.
But listen, with great bit come great responsibility.
Accurate. You're so serious right now.
I am so serious.
Keep reading your notes.
Anyways, so sorry. Lauren tells Rory that they're going to her grandparents for dinner tomorrow, and she's pretty understandably confused considering they only go on holidays. Luke brings the rest of their food with the check and says, red meat will kill you. Enjoy.
Luke.
Anytime Luke talks about their eating habits while he's serving them the food, that's the unhealthy food, it's just so funny.
Why do you do this job? You hate people? You hate the food? What are you doing?
Yeah, it's like, I mean, I get that it's like for the, like the funniness of the show kind of thing.
They're doing it for the plot.
For the plot. But like, a person that hates other humans and hates unhealthy food would not work at a diner or own a diner.
No, yeah. People who hate other humans, well, you know, to be fair, working in the service industry kind of destroys your faith in humanity and makes you hate
Yeah.
people. So maybe he's just become,
Oh,
maybe
yeah.
he used to love people and he's become bitter over time. But that doesn't
Yeah.
explain why he is a health nut that serves diner food.
Yeah. Okay. Now that I'm thinking about it, though, like, I think that because he does explain in another episode that it's like he, obviously loves his dad and had like great admiration for his dad. So I think he wanted to keep his dad's business going, but he doesn't enjoy the hardware stuff. He enjoys cooking. So it's like,
Right.
it was easy for him to open a diner
Which
instead.
is
So,
also crazy because he's like a super handy Mr. Fix-It guy. You'd think he'd like the hardware store.
right. Yeah, it make a lot of sense. But,
Well, we accept the plot holes because the show's so good. That's how that
I think though that like in life, sometimes you just get put in situations where it's like I have to do this job now. You know what I mean? Like I feel like a lot of people
Yeah.
do end up in like jobs that they wouldn't
You don't
necessarily have chosen.
usually start a business that you feel that way
That's true.
about,
That's
though.
true. That's a good point.
Anywho's,
Anywho's, Lorelai says she's finished hemming Rory's skirt and Rory reveals that she does not want to go to Chilton. All right.
okay,
Lorelai is being so rude to Rory this whole time. Like, what's she doing? What is she doing?
as a mother, sometimes you make mistakes and you take out your personal frustration on your kids. I'm not saying
Yes,
it's
but
a good thing,
do you call them a bitch?
not to their face.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Yeah,
I
she's
will
like
say, oh no, you go first.
the line, like, I thought I had dibs on being the bitch tonight. I was like, oh,
Yeah, it's aggressive.
that's not something your mom should ever say to you.
No.
No.
I do think though this is our first window into the college Rory that we hate, like the willingness to discard a huge opportunity because she met a cute guy, like
Yeah. Which she does again later.
and again and again and again.
Yeah.
Only two more again. Sorry, that was dramatic.
I fully okay, I did not like I was like, she's a kid here. You know what I mean? Like here's the thing. I'll get your opinion on this. But I thought when this was happening, I was like, I kind of believe Rory a little bit here. Like, do I think that Dean might have been a part of it? Maybe. But I mean, it's hard being like a kid and not knowing what you want out of life, Especially if
Yeah.
you have your mom being like, you're going to Harvard. Like, I don't know.
And it's scary to start new things. I get it. You know what? I would be more inclined to agree with you if we didn't see Rory make the same mistake several times.
Yeah, that's fair. That's a good point.
Like skipping school for Jess, like all the dumb shit she does with
Yeah.
Logan, like
Yeah. Well, literally dropping out of college.
literally dropping out of college,
Yeah.
like stealing
Which
a
is
yacht,
so crazy. Yeah.
She makes bad decisions when boys are involved, which I also understand.
Yeah. So Lorelai is very upset and says that they need to leave. On their way home, they walk by Miss Patty's and she says she found a job for Rory's male friend. Do you think that Miss Patty knew what she was doing here? Like, was
don't
she
know.
stirring the pot?
It's possible because Miss Patty seems like a pot stirrer,
Yeah. She loves the drama.
but she's also like a gossip who just wants to know what's going on around town. So maybe it was more like curiosity, like,
Yeah.
your male friend, he's cute. Who is he? Like trying to
Yeah.
get dirt, It may have been more that, I don't know. Because you'd think like everybody knows Lorelai and Rory's relationship in that town. You'd think they would all assume that Rory ran home to tell Lorelai about it because that's what
Right.
Lorelai assumed would happen, you know. But it's
Yeah.
possible. It's possible she was trying to stir up some drama.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm usually not Team Rory, but I just feel like the odds are against her, in this situation. Lorelai realizes that Rory has a crush and assumes that's why she doesn't want to go to Chilton. Lorelai calls out to Rory as she's walking away that she's going to have to turn into freaking Flojo to get away from her. I'm sorry, what does that mean?
I think. Well,
Is it a goog?
I'm not giving it a goog. I made notes when I was doing the whole I didn't look it up. All right, I'll Google it.
All right.
Who is Flojo? Do we even know who Flojo is? Definitely. Runner.
That makes sense. All right, that makes sense.
Flojo. Florence Dolores Griffith Joyner. Blah, 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 blah. Also known as Flojo. She was an
Even
American track and field athlete and the fastest woman ever recorded. She set world records in 1988 for the 100-meter dash and the 200-meter dash.
Here's the thing.
She was a runner.
I think the reason that we don't get Lorelai's references is because Lorelai's references are like smart and factual, and ours are like
dumb.
Like hers are like, I'm gonna take a fact about history and turn it into a joke, and ours are like Drake and Josh, SpongeBob.
I once tweeted, and this tweet went nowhere, and I was very upset about it because I thought it was very funny. It said something like, I've learned everything I know about both pop culture and classic literature from Gilmore Girls.
Honestly, yeah. Until you start digging and like finding out what they're saying, that it's like,
right,
you're actually like very knowledgeable and smart on a lot of things.
I would also like to point out the foreshadowing of the line, if you're gonna throw your life away, he better have a motorcycle.
Yeah, that's literally one of my
shows up on a motorcycle.
Yeah, true. I didn't think about that. Christopher. Yeah. Anyway, so they walk home separately and Rory slams the door in Lorelai's face. Lorelai starts making
If my kid did that to me, they'd be in their room for a long time.
Yeah. So Lorelai says, this is about a boy, of course. And she says that Rory has a thing going with a guy and doesn't want to leave school. Just a lot of assumptions here.
Yes. And I can see it from both sides. I see what you're saying, but also sometimes not to be like, oh, I'm a mom. Like, I'm not trying to do the I live in Hollywood thing.
Like, well, I'm a mom, so I actually know more than you.
As a mom, I feel like, no, I'm just saying, like, sometimes things like click into, like, you know your kid. Like, even if you don't have a Lorelai Rory relationship with your kid, you know your kid, and sometimes things click into place and you're like, oh, yeah. Obviously, I get, okay, that, because you've been weird lately, and that makes sense, you know?
Yeah.
So, you know, she's having one of those moments, but you are also right, because you shouldn't just make assumptions. You should, you know, I don't know, ask and find out. She's 16. She can speak for herself, or 15, I guess, but whatever. She can speak for herself.
Yeah. So Rory says she's going to bed instead of answering. All kinds of unhealthy communication going on here. Lorelai starts comparing Rory to herself, saying that she's throwing important life experiences away to be with a guy. Rory is offended at the insinuation, saying, whatever. This was cute to watch, actually, because later in the show, she liked the comparison, you know, between her and her mom. Yes. So it's like the growth thing.
Yeah. We'll get
there. We'll get there. Lorelai asks who the guy is and if he has tattoos. Rory claims that there's no guy. Rory says she doesn't want to change schools because all of the reasons she's already said, and not because of a guy. Lorelai's annoyed and says, does he have a motorcycle? Because if you're going to throw your life away, you better have a motorcycle. And
once again, I am jumping the gun.
Like, once a day, think of this line. It's so funny.
It is funny. It's great.
Lorelai walks into Rory's room and says, I think that went pretty well, don't you? To which Rory replies, thanks for the knock. Lorelai starts giving a pep talk.
I gotta say, I have that kind of humor with my daughter sometimes when tempers get a little high. And I'll just be like, well, that was fun. Let's try again.
Ease the tension sometimes, you know? Lorelai starts giving a pep talk to Rory, saying that guys are great, but they're always going to be there. And she also says, you don't get knocked up at 16 being indifferent to guys. I genuinely, I don't know if the writers did this on purpose or not, but Lorelai is totally super insecure and projecting.
Very much so. Yeah, I think that's I think that carries on throughout the series. Like, Lorelai is, I think the point of the show is these are just people with problems.
Yeah.
Lorelai's
Yeah.
problem is that she's a little selfish and she's very insecure. She
Yeah.
doesn't believe she's good enough for a good man. She doesn't believe she's a good mom. She doesn't believe she's made good choices, and like she can't see how well she's done for herself. And
Yeah.
I think that's one of her many flaws.
Yeah.
And
And I mean,
I am a Lorelai fan. I love her so much, but I love her partly because she has flaws.
yeah. I just feel like, also I'm of the opinion that like if you got pregnant and had your kid, the person who you talk about like the mistake part with should not like you shouldn't be like, oh, like I made this huge mistake pregnant and having you. Like
Yeah,
what?
that's
Like
crazy.
that's crazy. Yeah.
I would never. I'm trying to, because my daughter was not planned. I was very young, not 16, but I was 19.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've never been like, it was a mistake to get pregnant. Like, I've told her, like, yeah, I wasn't planning on it, but here you are, and it's great. Like, I
Yeah.
would never be like, biggest mistake of my life. That's
Yeah.
crazy.
Which I don't think that's necessarily what she's doing, but I don't know. Like
No,
if
but
I were a
she's like,
kid,
I don't want you to make the same mistake I made. And when you're a kid, what you hear is, I made a mistake, and it was you,
so yeah. But she tells Rory that Rory has always been the sensible one in this house, which again I think is like also shows Lorelai's growth because she's expecting Rory to step up and be the sensible one,
Oh, yeah.
which is
Lorelai's very immature in the beginning.
it's unhealthy. But I think I actually love the like when she's like, "Good comeback, thank you, you're welcome." Like back between, like it's like so stupid, but it's funny. Lorelai then says that she never used to do anything unless they both agreed, but now she has to play the mom card and tells her she's going to Chilton whether she likes it or not.
Also, can I just say, I'm sorry, your daughter is 16 or 15, and this is the first time you're ever pulling the mom card? Like, my oldest is almost 11, and I pull the mom card, like, nearly every day.
I feel like I don't believe that because like when your kid is 2 and your kid wants to run into the street because it looks
like,
really
no, we
fun.
both gotta agree on stuff. So,
Yeah, like you're pulling the mom card being like, I'm sorry, you can't run into the street because it looks really fun.
Right. Like
You have to stay
today,
on the
my
sidewalk.
daughter wanted to run across our street and into the neighbor's yard because she really likes their Halloween decorations. My youngest daughter, who's 2. And I said, no, you can't run across the street and into the neighbor's yard to look at their Halloween decorations because that's dangerous and that's not our house. And that's pulling the mom card.
Yeah, 100%. I don't know, maybe it just like means something different to her.
Yeah.
So then it shows them both listening to I Try by Macy Gray, which is the CD that Rory was asking about earlier.
Yeah. Wait,
That's
hold
good
on.
writing.
They both got copies of that CD? Why did Lorelai
Yeah.
borrow Rory's?
That's a really
Sorry,
good question, actually.
I just thought about that.
No, it's a really good question. I feel like maybe Rory or maybe Lorelai borrowed it to like burn it or something. That was a thing in the early
I forgot
2000s.
about burning CDs. Obviously, she borrowed it to burn it.
Obviously.
We didn't do that.
Bought all of our music.
We've paid for every piece of media we've ever had. Obviously.
Yeah, exactly. Even especially the alleged YouTube rip-off of the first pilot. We've definitely paid to watch that.
Actually, it wasn't on YouTube. It was allegedly on a very sketchy site that I was very afraid to click on.
That happened.
It was worth it, though, allegedly. It's a joke.
Allegedly, it was worth it. We then cut to a scene in the inn where Suki has broken the stove, I think.
Who knows?
Who knows at this point? Lorelai explains that she got no sleep last night, and Suki tells her to relax because mothers and daughters fight. I relate to Suki more than I thought. Like, watching her be so apologetic about the stove and, like, being like, I'm so sorry I broke the stove, and then being like, I can't have the money for the stove.
It's
like,
so cute. She's like, also take it out of my check. And Lorelai's like, okay. And she's like, also, I just shrieked into the microphone. That probably didn't feel great for people. I'm sorry. I'll try to fix it.
So she also says when she says she put her contacts in backwards, the script says, the script says she put her pantyhose on backwards. So.
Is that even possible? Listen, I haven't worn pantyhose since I was like 10 years old, but I'm pretty sure you can put them either way and it's fine.
I think they're reversible, right? Like,
yeah,
you can.
I think it's okay.
I'm pretty sure they probably tried that line, and then on the day they were like, that's not enough.
That doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
Also, putting your contacts in backwards. Do you mean you put the wrong prescription in the wrong eye, or do you mean you put them in because you can like your contacts get flipped inside out sometimes, and you put them in like that, it hurts.
Lorelai explains that they never fight when Michelle walks in to announce that Rory is there. Lorelai walks in and says no moo today, trying to smooth things over. Rory is very clearly peeved and asks why she left a note to meet her there. Lorelai explains that she thought she might want to work some extra hours for some extra cash and asks if she's going to give her the mommy dearest treatment forever. Rory coldly says, "You wanted me here, I'm here. Should I do something or what?" Lorelai clearly sees that she's just going to be a little brat and sends her home. She says dinner's at 7.
There's a little bit where we see the beginning of Michelle and Suki's relationship. We see them bickering a little bit. Love their relationship going forward.
So Michelle is then stoked to have his chair back. We cut to them both sitting outside the door of Richard and Emily. Both sitting? We cut to them both standing outside the door of Richard and Emily. Rory asks if they're going to go in or reenact the little match girl. Lorelai tells Rory that she needs to be civil and also says she knows that Rory hates her. That's very dramatic.
That is Lorelai is very dramatic. She's very immature in the beginning.
You hate me? I'm sorry. Come on.
You're very pro Rory in this episode, which is very unlike you.
I do think she is acting like a brat. I think in this last
Just communicate. Good God. Both of them, honestly.
Yeah. The passive aggressiveness, maybe it's part of the reason I like the show so much too, though, is because that's
how our family behaves.
Okay. I was like, am I allowed to say this on the podcast? That's how our family behaves.
Yeah. I don't think it's a secret. One, I don't think anyone who cares about you saying that is going to ever listen to our podcast. They might say they do and be like, oh yeah, you guys did a really good job.
And be like, did you hear the part about how you're passive aggressive?
But yeah,
that's a deep cut. Name that movie.
Wait, I didn't hear what you said.
Aggressive, passive, aggressive.
Damn, you got me. Is payback for
being
the
a
SpongeBob?
Wallflower. Obviously, my all-time favorite movie.
Okay, that's your all-time favorite movie. I've seen it 3 times.
That one's actually really unfair because that's from a deleted skit. That was really unfair, actually.
All right, no, I'm taking that point away from you.
Yeah, you got that one. So they ring the doorbell and Emily opens the door. No maid? Why is Emily opening the door?
That's wild. The Emily of future episodes would never.
Would never.
Especially not expected company. Nah, that maid's standing there.
Yeah, for sure. Emily heavily insinuates that Lorelai shouldn't have her coffee cup by asking if it's a collector's cup, and then rushes Rory inside asking about Chilton. They walk in to see Richard, who is obsessed with how tall Rory is.
It's so weird. 5'7's not that tall. You're 5'7", right?
I'm 5'7", yeah. And I'm not tall.
No. I mean, it's taller than average, but it's not like I'm tall. I'm 5'10". That's people are like, oh, you're tall. You play basketball?
Yeah. How's the weather up there? Yeah.
Yeah.
They toast to how Rory's going to Chilton. Is Rory drinking champagne?
Soda water.
She gets the drink. She hands every single person a drink of champagne. She's like, champagne, and then she pours the drink. She hands one to everybody.
Does Rory take a sip?
I mean, yeah. They toast to her, and then they take a sip. So maybe she got Rory a
champagne, or like a sparkling, something, or champagne's a little different. Champagne's one of those things that if it's a special occasion, everybody gets a little glass, and you get to toast.
Yeah, that's fair. Maybe we'll see. Emily says that an education is the most important thing in the world next to family. Lorelai says, and pie.
She's so uncomfortable. That's me when I'm uncomfortable. I'm I'm going to talk a lot.
Chandler, I make jokes when I'm uncomfortable. Name that show.
Friends, obviously.
So let's see. This is when Richard hands Rory the paper. I love this.
Love it.
They're like bickering, and then Richard's just like, and hands Rory the paper. It's so good. So good. I love their
agree.
relationship. We cut to them eating dinner, and Richard very quickly brings up Christopher, who is Rory's dad, we learn. Brings up Christopher, saying he's very smart, and then rudely says to Rory, "You must take after him."
That comment is so unnecessary.
So mean. So mean and so unnecessary.
I
Yeah.
think that, because I love Richard in the future, I think Rory softens him
For
over
sure.
time.
He has his mean streaks, though. Like, you remember
Yeah,
when
oh,
he
yeah.
meets Dean? That's bad.
Yeah. But that felt like, not to be Lorelai in that episode, that felt like protective of Rory. You know, I think,
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's still shitty.
It's still mean. Still mean,
but,
yeah.
Yeah.
Emily and Richard are not perfect people. I do have
No.
sympathy for them, though. I just think, you know, they're just not an excuse, but they grew up in an old money families.
Yeah.
And they expect everybody to behave a certain way, and they don't know what to do with Lorelai. You know, they're surprised by her.
None of them are perfect people. I think that's what makes it a good show, you know?
Exactly. That's why I hate.
Perfect people aren't fun.
May have already touched on this, but I hate when people are like, I hate that show. Everybody makes mistakes. Everybody sucks. And I'm like, yeah, that's life.
But
that's how things
I hear
go.
that about the most about The Office, where they're like, oh, these characters are so toxic. I'm like, no, they're actually just like human people.
Just normal people making mistakes. Like, it's okay.
Over characterized, maybe, because that's a hard word to say. Maybe because, like, you know, it's a silly show, but like, yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, people aren't perfect. You don't want people to be perfect. Like, I don't anyway. I guess like that'd make for really boring TV if all of the like main characters made the right decision every time. Like, who's watching that show?
Not me. Yeah. So Lorelai gets rightfully angry and gets up and says she's going to go to the kitchen for a Coke or a knife. She starts aggressively cleaning the kitchen, which I love because I do that.
Yes. Same.
Yeah.
When I get mad, I clean. Mad, anxious. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Emily goes to talk to Lorelai, which is never good. Lorelai asks if every Friday she has to sit there while they attack her, and Emily calls her dramatic, which, like, is a little true. I mean, that was a mean comment, but like,
Richard was, they're both being kind of dramatic. This whole argument is drama.
Show. But yeah, Richard's comment, I would have walked out.
It was out of line. I would have walked out too. I'd have been like, cool. Yeah.
I'm out. I'm clearly being disrespected here, so yeah. Talking about Christopher and how Emily and Richard think that they should have gotten married. Don't get me wrong, like, I'm here for the drama. I really just jumped into that.
I think that this fight between Emily and Lorelai was built to give us information. We learn where Rory's dad is, that Lorelai got pregnant at 16, that she left when Rory was a baby. Like, they're fighting. It's obviously they're bringing up things from the past so that we know what's going on.
Do think too, I think that people do this in fights. I think that in fights, because you harbor so much stuff, you know, especially when you're like holding grudges against someone, that like, when like the floodgates open, you're like, like,
and 15 years ago, you said.
Exactly. Yeah. I do think that
people who haven't been to therapy fight like that. Everyone in this show needs to go to therapy.
Which is,
but then the show would be super boring.
I'm going to bring it up again, but this is what A Year in the Life was supposed to be about. Was literally Emily and Lorelai going to therapy. Yeah. But anyway, so Emily expresses that she's upset. It feels like they took Rory out of their life and that she was just a child when they left. We get the lore that Lorelai started at the inn as a maid and is now the manager. Emily says that Lorelai was always too proud to ask for help, and that Lorelai says, always too proud to ask for help. And Lorelai says she wasn't too proud to ask for help for Rory's school, which Rory overhears from the dining room. Richard is asleep. Also,
sleep at the dining room table? How do you fall asleep at the dining room table?
Honked out, snoring up a storm.
How?
I'm so confused right now.
I can't fall asleep in my bed with blankets and 3 pillows tucked around me.
I mean, look,
at the dining room
he's
table.
an insurance man. People
He's
die,
he's
he
he's
pays.
very people crash cars, he
He
pays.
pays. He's exhausted from all that paying, all right?
Well, I get it. I get exhausted when I have to pay for things too, so.
We see them walk out, and Lorelai says she feels shorter. Rory offers to buy her a cup of coffee. They go to Luke's, and Rory reveals that she overheard the conversation. She says that she thinks it was brave of Lorelai to ask for money, and Lorelai says she so doesn't want to talk about it. So what the hell's rude?
Yeah. Okay,
If
yeah.
your kid hits you with like, that was really brave. Like, that's like a really sweet thing to say, and to be like, oh, I don't want to talk about it. Like,
Also, something that I have always tried to do, like, obviously there's a line, like an age-appropriate line and like a specific to the situation line, but I've always tried to be, if I want my kid to come to me with their issues, like meeting a boy they like and not wanting to change schools, then I need to be honest when they ask me about mine, you know?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
like I said, like there's age-appropriate issues and there's oversharing and there's putting your own burdens on your kid. You know, I try not to do that. But I try to be open and honest about how I'm feeling about stuff because I want my kids to be able to be honest. Yeah, and Lorelai just shuts her down. She's like, no, we're not talking about my feelings. What about you?
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I do feel like part of this is me just like sitting up in my judgment, my ebony tower and my ivory tower, just judging these characters. You know, everybody's rude sometimes, but name that show.
Is that
The Office, obviously.
Oh my God. Okay. There was another joke similar to that one in Psych, and I was like, now, obviously, I can picture the scene in my mind. Now,
Yes, of course. You're just sitting up there and your ivory tower.
Your ivory tower and your ebony tower. Yes, I got it.
Oh, it's very funny.
But yeah, this podcast wouldn't be very fun if we didn't judge people. I think we need to be even harsher. I think we need to take firm stances on things that make people mad.
Actually, I think we need to be worse people.
Yeah.
That's my goal, honestly.
I think I would like to make every fan of Gilmore Girls mad at some point. That's
If you're listening to this and you haven't been mad, your time will come. Don't you worry.
I want to take a firm stance on things and stick to it even if I don't.
They order from Luke's after telling him that he looks nice, which I don't think is ever actually explained. Like, he's like, I had to go to the bank.
Also, Lorelai is being so awkward. Like, she says he looks nice awkwardly, and then what?
She says, oh, you look nice.
Yeah. And then when she says, like, behold, the healing powers of a bath, like, future Lorelai would have said that to him, not when he walked away.
100%. Lorelai starts asking about the guy, aka Dean, which Rory brushes it off. This is where Luke says Rory shouldn't drink coffee and tells her that she doesn't want to end up like her mom, to which she replies, too late. Cute, full circle moment. And it's like too late in a way that's like,
my mom's a good person.
Yeah. She was brave and asked about money and did the things.
And I can be brave too.
And go to school.
Yep.
We love a wholesome full circle moment. Yeah, well, we did it, Joe. That is,
wrapped it up. Final thoughts?
Name that video that resurfaced on the internet.
Oh my God, I have to know the title of the YouTube video.
I have to know the title of an Instagram reel from 4 years ago. Obviously. Anyway, yeah, that's it. That's episode 1.
All right. I am excited to be past the pilot because I think that our episodes are going to be much more interesting going forward. There was a lot of setup in this episode, and we did a lot of complaining about how different the pilot is. But I think
we won't stop. We're going to keep complaining. Don't worry.
Yeah, just about different stuff. More
We'll
interesting
find
things.
new things to complain about, but we'll also
100%.
find things
But
to be
not
happy.
about the production of the show, because it's one of our favorite shows of all time. It's excellent writing, excellent acting, all of it's good.
Yeah. I would watch this show 100 more times and still be happy. It is so good, so funny, so warm and fuzzy. I love it.
Yeah, I think going forward, maybe we should, this may be like a not conversation for the podcast, but maybe we should like, instead of giving like, I know you like writing like the detailed breakdown, but maybe just to like condense for time. Maybe going forward, we'll hit like the highlights and then discuss like our feeling. Because this episode was totally different because there was a lot of setup
Right.
and a lot of like, but like going forward, we're going to need to talk about storyline stuff. Like we're going to have some debates. So,
Yeah, for sure.
yeah. But we'll sort that out later. But no, what are your final thoughts?
It's a strong pilot.
Absolutely.
I mean, I have gripes toward like characters, but I really and genuinely, there's nothing in this that I'm like, that was bad. Like, I feel like all like as a show, you know what I mean? Like, I'm like, that was a weird choice, like but it's more like I'm enjoying watching this character make their weird choice. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, and it's just fun to watch characters develop. Like that's one of my favorite parts of TV shows is watching them go through things that change them, because that is how real people grow.
For the better or for the worse, which in Rory's case it was the worst.
Yeah, good. I know I made a joke earlier about sometimes I skip the pilot, but then I was just thinking about it. This is actually one of the pilots that I don't usually skip. I usually keep it in the rotation.
For sure. I agree. Well, that was fun. Until next time, we need like a sign off. What should we say?
I know. Can you think of any Gilmore Girls puns? Is there like a Gilmore Girls goodbye? They say
the Gilmore goodbye.
The Gilmore goodbye. Oh my God.
Yeah, I honestly got nothing.
I got nothing.
Well, yeah. Well, all right.
Okay. Till next time.
Gators. Goodbye.